I'll just raise my virtual glass to you and say, cheers, everybody. Salud. Welcome to Remote Daily. And thanks for taking the time, especially the ones here in the room. Monica, Yvonne, Sarah, Rashad, Lucinda, Lisa, Karis, Karen, Jan, John, Jolie, John Patton, Joe Ray, Eleanor, Aline, Donita, Dario, Deborah, Bernadette, and Liz, and of course, Sarah. You're in for something here because we're now sharing a sound bath with you. It's actually a recorded one. So you get the full audio experience over Zoom of a professionally recorded sound bath. We also are going to do an interactive exercise live with Sarah after the conversation with her. But for now, we don't want to keep you any longer. Here is a few minutes of Sarah and her art for you here on Remote Daily. Enjoy.
As you breathe in, you are taking in your environment, the world around you. As you breathe out, you are offering an expression of yourself into the world. So let this experience of listening gently guide you inward towards inner listening, and let your awareness expand outward to the sounds around you.
Please come back to the room. Open your eyes and share your smiles. Thank you for taking time for Sara's art and for enjoying a glimpse of what Sara has to offer. Thank you for participating. Sara, I know this was a hard in and out of what you usually do. So thank you for allowing us to chop your art into pieces here. Would you please help us understand while the appreciation and the gratitude is rolling here in the chat? I feel that in my soul, said Lisa. I even heard a humpback whale, says Sara. How do you actually create these sounds? What is the equipment that you're using?
It would be great if you just let that siren keep going, Felix.
Okay.
It's funny. So before I talk about the instruments and the tools that I use, just kind of address that sound, as I think many of us are in New York City and hear that sound frequently. Just a side note. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I live across the street from a firehouse on the Lower East Side, and I've lived in this apartment for 7 years, and I had to really shift my relationship to that sound. And instead of tensing my whole body and getting angry and stressed and mad that it was interrupting my entire flow of my day, to think about the origin of the sounds, and that there's a specific purpose and a reason for this sound, and that these people who risk their lives to save other lives are, furiously, urgently trying to get to the place or the situation that needs help. And that's why these sounds have to be so loud. And so, what I do whenever I feel that feeling creep up, I just say, okay, help is on the way, and wish them well, and that they don't have obstacles to get to where they're going, and that everything is resolved quickly. That's my
I
siren
used to
story.
live across a firehouse, and I was not able to get to this place that you went to. I was just furious, especially at the chainsaws or whatever the instruments are that they're testing twice a day. I will never forget.
People who don't live across the street from a firehouse don't know about this, that actually they have to test their chainsaws once in the morning and once at night. And some firehouses have multiple chainsaws. And so at around 9 in the morning and 5 p.m., they let them rip. That was a little bit more difficult to navigate, but yeah.
I cannot put into words that sound, and especially when you have a newborn. This is an interesting road to go down, the sounds of New York City. But you know what? We have something for you, Sara. It's our little gift to every one of our guests, because we have a sound from New York City that sounds just a little better than the chainsaws from the firehouse. Here's our house song by Elena Dario, which kicks us into the official part of our interview, just for you, Sara, and for everybody who's on Remote Daily here. Elena Dario live from Astoria.
Daily dose of inspiration. This is Remote Daily, an oasis of innovation for your mind, your soul. connect at and recharge with remote daily. This is remote daily.
The warm rain on a summer morning version of the Remote Daily House song. Thank you.
We've thought about, playing from outside at times, but we always think, oh, it'll be too noisy. There'll be too much ambience. But today would have potentially been an interesting day to just be outside and experience and, embrace whatever's out there. So maybe another time we'll do that. And per Sarah's inspiration, just embrace it all. So anyway, please
I love
continue to enjoy.
the water bottle. That was the first. We've had
Yeah.
kazoos, we've had bones, we've had everything. That was the first. So thank you for that. How do they even do that? Asks Anne in the chat. So one question more to you, Elena and Dario. You play the song differently every day. When do you decide how to play it? At what point of the hour?
Usually when you're saying to the guest, we have a special treat for you. Because we have to feel what's going on. Like we could never have predicted that. So we just feel it, and then either Dario's, he has an opinion, or I have an opinion, or we both have opinions, and we see what happens.
You just look at each other, and then it's like, here we go. That's art. That's live art on Remote Daily. Thank you both so very much. Lots of love here in the chat for you, and we're so lucky to have you guys. Thank you. This was our gift to you, Sarah. So welcome on the virtual stage. We are, as you can see, a sound-driven community. And I have learned that you didn't just get into this because you thought, oh, yeah, let's explore. You got into this because something very heavy happened in your life. And please share with us what brought you onto this journey that turned you into the person bringing sounds to thousands of people around the world today. What was the accident?
Well, I've always been drawn to the healing power of sound and also creating sensory experiences. And it's shown up in different forms in my life. When I was 7, first, my oldest sister was diagnosed with a rare form of lupus and spent a lot of time in hospitals, most of the time in hospitals. She became non-communicative, and one way that my family and I were able to feel like we were connecting with her was through singing songs and also playing music for her. And when I was around age 10, she passed away. And that kind of sent me on a journey to just seek out community in ways that I could connect to those feelings and emotions of grief and loss through sound, but also through art and creative expression. And I continued to play various instruments. I went on to study visual art in college, but always creating, like I said, just sensory experiences, not just visual experiences, but incorporating smell and sound and mixed media installations. And when I was 23, I was working in my studio on 42nd Street in New York City, and the floor broke underneath me, and I fell 15 feet with all of my work. How poetic. And I broke my back in 4 places. And that accident left me um, with chronic pain, and really just I wasn't able to do what I loved to do because I was in so much physical pain. I just couldn't physically make art, make music. I was on pretty heavy painkillers, morphine orally, and that then drove me to seek ways to get out of physical pain. And through that, I began explorations of alternative, complementary and alternative medicine practices, and found that a combination of a lot of different things really helped to get me out of physical pain. And then once I was sort of managing that, all of this emotional trauma was uncovered. This sort of PTSD that I was experiencing with loud sounds that I didn't really make a connection to until I began a regular meditation practice, that having the floor break underneath and having that sound of crushing and crashing, it started to manifest in if a fork would drop on the floor. I would be startled and I would have a very intense reaction. And so I started to work through that through my meditation practice. And once I found healing for myself, that's what really led me to start to share that work with other people.
I mean, I don't even know how to follow up on this. I mean, the way you emerged from this and not only being able to heal on your own behalf, but then sharing this with the world and creating something that now thousands of people around the world have benefited from, including this room. I don't even have words for this. I mean, it's just incredible. Like the amount of strength and resiliency and love you have for others is, I mean, I guess the only question that comes to my mind is, when was the first time you actually realized that after this, I mean, everyone, I guess the nightmare of having the floor collapse is familiar to all of us, like to have that actually happen and to have that been connecting with sound so much. When was the first time you actually realized sound can also heal you? It's not just your trauma. Like, was there a special sound that you heard and you thought, oh wow, this is where I want to be? Or how did that happen? When was that first time?
And it's interesting because, like I said before, I've always been drawn to the healing effects of sound and music. Subconsciously, I've always looked to music to support me through different stages of my life, as many of us, I think, have. But it really actually wasn't until I facilitated my first group sound bath experience that I really, like a light bulb went off there. And at that time, I didn't really know of many people who were facilitating experiences similar to this in the U.S. And so I studied sound therapy. I became a sound therapist, and I worked mostly one-on-one with people. And it was after I facilitated my first group experience that I really felt such a powerful shift, and the feedback that I received after that experience from the participants was overwhelming, that they had been transported, or they never felt that relaxed, or they went to a place that they never went to before, were never able to access a part of themselves. And it was also profoundly healing for me because I had uh, sort of a realization that these two different parts of myself, this one part that was an artist and a musician, lived over here in this world, and this other part that was a meditation teacher and a yoga teacher lived over here. And through that experience, I felt them. come together, that I felt like a full, whole expression of myself. And within that, I was helping other people to connect to a deeper place within themselves. And that was, a moment of real revelation.
Wow. Congratulations. And love is also here being shared from the community in the chat. How inspirational you are, and just what an incredible story you bring to this room. Before we try something with you live, I have to come back to one of my earliest questions today. Your devices, your instruments, the things that are surrounding you right now, and then also in the video that we just shared. What is it? How do you create sounds, and how do you pick the things you create them with?
Well, to answer your question very technically and formally, these are crystal singing bowls. I also play tuning forks and various other instruments. However, this conversation before about just how beautiful that the remote daily theme song was, with Dario and
Eleanor?
Eleanor, so beautiful. Thank you. And she just playfully picked up her water bottle and shook it around, and that moment of just freedom to express creatively really moved everyone. And for me, that happens a lot in a sound bath experience too, where this one time I was facilitating a sound bath in Cape Cod. It was late October. It was beautiful orange and red leaves everywhere. And as I mentioned before, I love the sound of rustling leaves. And I decided to pick up a giant branch and bring it in to the space. And I shifted it around during the experience. And afterwards, we usually have a share out kind of session with the group. Somebody said, there was a sound that sounded just like rustling leaves, and I felt it through my whole body. It was incredible. What instrument was that? And I picked up this branch and I shook it around and I said, it's rustling leaves. But that's the beauty of, accessing this full body listening and really entering into this playfulness of subtlety, where you can shake a water bottle or listen to the effervescence of a club soda and just really enjoy that.
From the club sodas to the whales. Sara, you were so kind to offer that despite of the limiting circumstances, the latencies, the microphones, the Zooms, we're not letting this stop us. We're going to do something together. So you are an artist that is known to fill large spaces and small spaces and intimate spaces like stadiums, both in your own unique way. You have, as so many other artists, taken this into the virtual, and you said, yes, we can do something. We can do an exercise together. So may I ask you, what is something we could do live with you right here, right now?
Okay, so there is a practice called vocal toning, and it is where we each one of us get to use the sound of our own voice. And if that last sentence made you tense up a little bit, I would just have to say that vocal toning is not singing and it's not chanting. So if you have any blocks around those two things, you can just put that aside. If you speak, then you can practice vocal toning. And essentially, it's just an elongation of any tone. It doesn't have to be in harmony or matching my tone, just with the out breath. And the practice can be done on many different vowel sounds, but today we're going to keep it really simple. And it's just going to be a hum, a sound. So does that make sense? And I'll guide you through it. We'll do it all together. We'll just be breathing together, and it works like this. You inhale through the nose, and when you exhale, it's just you're releasing a little sound with a closed mouth. And it's not a contest. It's not about, who can sustain the note the longest. And essentially, what I really would love for us to do is to just kind of go with the pace of our own breath. So we'll do it a couple times together. And then I don't want you to wait for me. Just at the bottom of your exhale, when it feels comfortable for your breath, you inhale through the nose and you kind of keep it going.
And microphones off is okay, right?
Yeah, it's going to sound interesting. But if everybody's open to turning their microphones off, you're going to hear, one person is going to keep being highlighted. You know how Zoom works. I don't know how to explain that. But I think it might be nice just to hear everybody's voices. So if you feel comfortable unmuting, please unmute. If you don't,
awesome,
then don't. But I think we're going to do it with our eyes closed. So nobody's going to see if you pop up into the forefront of the screen. So,
and I'll spotlight you, Sarah. So we have you in the spotlight. That makes it easier, and all the sounds circling around the room.
Ooh, that sounds nice. Okay, so just find a comfort. If you're sitting, just make sure both feet are on the floor. If you're sitting in a chair, and just let your hands rest on your lap. And you can have your back supported for this. But just find a comfortable position in the body and feel grounded in your seat. And we'll start just by connecting to the breath. So inhale through the nose. Let's do it together. And just exhale through the mouth. And again, inhale through the nose. And exhale through the mouth. And now we'll release a gentle sigh on the next exhale. Inhale through the nose. And exhale. And again, inhale through the nose. And exhale. And now you might hear several different tones coming through from the instrument that I'm playing. So just hear one that's standing out to you, and you can begin whenever you're ready. Just one tone, one sustained tone. And at the bottom of your exhale, you take in another breath and just keep cycling through. We're going to do this for about a minute. So just keep going at your own pace. Now just 3 more at your own pace. For a moment, feeling the resonance of your own voice in your body. And let's take one more breath together. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. As you're ready, just slowly come to open the eyes. Thank you so much for sharing your voice and being open to exploring that practice. I loved hearing each one of your unique tones coming into my ears.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Maybe we can share some virtual glitter for our guest and facilitator today, Sara Auster. Thank you so much for being here, creating this experience together. Who would like to share? I can only say, as a facilitator in the beginning, I was stressed as hell because what we always take care of on Remote Daily is the audio to be clear. And it was just this explosion of noises and crackles and sounds and hums. And I was like, and then I just let go. And it was wonderful. And who would like to share what they experienced? I can add one more thing. The beauty of Zoom is that nobody has to tune. When I believe when you do this in a room, in a yoga studio or anywhere else, everybody will find the same sound. And here was just all the different sounds because what everybody felt like doing in that moment. And I think this is a nice metaphor for Zoom, how Zoom equals our voices. We can all show up with the voice that we really have. Who would like to share what they experienced? Just go off mute and share your experience. Hi, Eileen.
Hi, I'm glad you said this is not a competition, and anyone who has a charge around voice or chanting, that was very healing just to hear that. And what I noticed was, even though it was my unique sound, I seemed to match the register of your instrument, partially because my voice is pretty low, but I think that was an influence for me, just to have that, I guess, a connection with that sound. Not much else, but it was a stretch for me to do this. So I'm probably one of those people that needs sound therapy.
No, thank you, Eileen, for sharing. And it's actually this instrument, it's called a Shruti box, and it provides a droning sound to, create almost something that can hold your voice. I think something that can be a little bit scary about using our voice, whether it's singing or speaking, is feeling like, oh, it's just out there by itself. everybody's can hear me. Everybody can, and this just provides almost like a safe container to let your voice fly. So thank you for sharing that you were able to kind of connect to the instrument. I think it's a helpful tool for that reason.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene, and hi, Rashad.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for both those experiences. You know, for me, strangely enough, I went straight back to my Indian roots and I started chanting Om Shanti over and over again. And for me, it was a moment of, you know, a sense of release of tension, care, so on and so forth, and a sense of overall calmness, which I found very soothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajat. I heard your Om Shanti Shanti, and at first I was kind of in the zone, and I was like, "Is that just in my head?" And it was beautiful.
I heard
Shanti,
it
peace,
too,
peace,
and I
peace,
loved it.
peace.
Thank you, Rashad. And Anne put in the chat, I'm too chill to start thinking again. I was zoned out. How cool is that? Thank you for sharing, Anne. And
sorry.
yes, hi, Anne.
No, but I feel like is that the point of it? I don't know. Maybe there's not really a point to the exercise, but I really feel like, you know, in the beginning, I felt probably like much like a lot of our fellow members. You're a little self-aware, but as you kind of go on, you kind of completely tune everything out, and it was just you and your breath and your sound. It doesn't really matter what it was. Like, is there a point to the exercise? I don't know.
Yes. There's a lot of points to the exercise. Let's start with just getting out of your head, you know, about it, right? And just kind of feeling and sensing into the moment. A lot of times too, it's hard for people to access the breath. As I mentioned, I'm a meditation teacher, and a lot of the times in meditation, you might be instructed to control or play with the breath, and that can cause some anxiety for people. By adding sound to the exhale, it helps you to elongate the exhale, which helps to shift you into parasympathetic, and your nervous system. It helps you to relax, actually. And so if I just told you to take a short inhale and a long exhale, it might be difficult for you to do that. But when you add your voice, just as if you were breathing out through a straw or something like that, it helps to control the breath and elongate the exhale. And that's just one of the many reasons why vocal toning is beneficial. But it's also that you can do it any time, anywhere, because you have a voice. So you don't need me.
No, thank you so much. Like, slowing down the breath really made a huge difference, which is like, it took me some time to come back. It really did.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Anne. And Sarah, you just gave me a perfect cue to ask you, how can we experience this when you're not in a Zoom room with us? As any artists, you were going in this pandemic from the physical into the virtual. So how can we enjoy what you do in the virtual realm, and how can we also support your work in the virtual webs? We just shared your website, your links in the chat here, but please let us know where can we find you and keep breathing with you.
That's great. Well, my website, saraauster.com, has a lot of different resources. I have a monthly subscription service called Auster Sound, where I am uploading new videos each week. And then I have a monthly live sound bath event. And it has always been my mission to be able to create tools that help to support people in their own healing and their own life journey. And so whether it be recordings, I have a vinyl record, I have recordings on YouTube and all different types of platforms. You know, it's important to me that I can offer you a way to access these types of experiences when I'm not around. guiding you. So of course it's powerful and amazing to come together in a space like this where, you know, we're truly in this moment together, sharing a space together. But it's also important to have these daily touchstones and daily tools that we can access. So Auster Sound on my website, and also my book, which is available as an ebook and also an audio book, where I do a lot more explaining about the how and why of sound. If you're more of a heady person, I talk a little bit more about the science-y stuff there. So yeah, I just would love to stay connected and keep supporting you.
Thank you so much, Sara.
Thank you.
Sound Bath, Meditate, Heal, and Connect Through Listening is Sara's book that came out in 2019. And Auster Sound, Liz just put in the chat, thank you, Liz, has a subscription that you can sign up for free, for a month free, using the code TUNEIN. It's all in the chat for you. We'll also make sure to share it in the Slack group afterwards. So please keep following Sara and help Sara to support her business and make your life better. Sara, we always give the mic for a final message to our community, to our guests. What would you like to share with us before we part our ways today, having our breathing and our hearing transformed through you?
You know, practices of listening help us to connect not only more deeply to ourselves, but with other people and the world around us. So I hope you continue to access moments of pause and real mindful awareness of sound every day. It will definitely change your life. I'm here to
Even
help
if it's from the
if you need
firehouse
me.
across the street.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so very much, Sara Auster. Here's some more applause and virtual glitter for you.